Good evening. I'm Spot On Weather meteorologist Matthew Euler, and let's take a look at the latest update on a very dangerous Hurricane Irma. All right, so starting off with the satellite image of Irma as of 6:45 Eastern Daylight Time this evening, we are looking at the eye of Category 5 Hurricane Irma. Generally, in this satellite image here, it's very well defined. You have some very cold cloud tops surrounding the eye itself. If you've noticed over the last couple of videos how all of these higher cloud tops, the areas surrounding the eye, were pretty much equally distributed from the eye outward. You'll notice tonight now that a lot of the heaviest, highest cloud tops and the heaviest precipitation, that is slightly offset more to the east than it is to the west at the present time. But this is one impressive system. It has tremendous outflow. You see the cirrus blow off coming off the tops of these thunderstorm clouds. This is a very efficient heat engine of the atmosphere of hurricane, and it's just simply impressive. Right down here you see Puerto Rico, so it's just to the northeast of Puerto Rico, and it will not make a direct hit on Puerto Rico. It will remain north. Here's the summary as of 5 p.m. Atlantic Standard Time, which is the same as Eastern Daylight Time for the 6th of September 2017. The location of Irma is at 18.8 north or 65.4 west, 40 miles to the northwest of St. Thomas, and 55 miles to the east-northeast of San Juan, Puerto Rico. The maximum sustained winds are at 185 miles per hour, and the movement is off to the west-northwest at 16 miles per hour, with a minimum central pressure at an incredible 914 millibars or 26.99 inches. This is about as strong as it gets in the Atlantic Ocean. And now moving on to the official National Hurricane Center forecast track. So what's the latest track by the Hurricane Center? Current location, again, just to the east-northeast of San Juan, Puerto Rico, as of 5 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, Wednesday, the 6th of September. We expect that Irma will remain a major hurricane as it continues to make its way up towards the Bahamas, remaining north of Dominican Republic, remaining north of Haiti. So that's good news for these countries down in the Caribbean. And then it also is expected to remain just north of Cuba. Although you will notice that there are hurricane warnings issued for the northern side of the Dominican Republic and Haiti. There's also a hurricane warning still in effect for Puerto Rico. And then all the islands leading up to the Bahamas, we have hurricane warnings. And the far northwestern portion of the Bahama Islands have a hurricane. It looks like it's a hurricane watch right now, as well as portions of Cuba. So it's something that's got to be watched closely as it makes its transit to the west-northwest, remaining a major hurricane. A major hurricane is a Category 3 storm with wind speeds of 111 miles per hour or greater. So we do not expect much in the drop-off of the system. We do expect weakening. The Hurricane Center has mentioned this, that it will weaken as it moves towards the west-northwest. But if it remains north of these mountainous countries of the Caribbean, then the center is going to continue to remain fairly significant in strength. And now look at what happens. This is as of 2 p.m. Saturday. It's sitting north of Cuba. Everything goes on a west-northwest track, and then all of a sudden it makes a right-hand turn and starts drifting more to the north-northwest. It looks like around 2 p.m. Sunday there could be a major hurricane either over Miami, Florida, or just slightly offshore to the east-southeast. And that will remain to be seen. The critical point is, when will this turn be made by Irma? By 2 p.m. Monday, National Hurricane Center is expecting Irma to be just off of the Georgia coastline, still as a major hurricane. All right, so now let's take a look at the American GFS and the European Ensemble members forecast. As I mentioned the other night in the video, whenever these lines are close together, that indicates fairly high forecaster confidence. All right, so there's a very high forecaster confidence out 72 to 96 hours, the next 3 to 4 days. A lot of the models are pointing Irma in a west-northwest direction for the track. Look at the GFS on the left, and this is European on the right. And you'll notice a turn to the north on both models now. And the clustering is a lot tighter than what it was, say, 2 days ago on where this was going to turn and how this was going to impact the United States. So the clusters have got closer together over time, even though we're talking 144 hours out, 120 hours out, next 4 to 5 day forecast. We're starting to get in that critical window now of higher accuracy, higher confidence within the 5 day period. Additionally, the National Weather Service has been launching balloons and getting pertinent sounding information over the lower 48 because every bit of weather as this system moves to the north is getting into the mid-latitude westerly belts, which typically start about 30 degrees north latitude. So anything coming in from the west is going to have a drastic steering influence on Irma. So let's look at the GFS forecast for the 9th and 10th of September to start things. So this is on Saturday morning, 08 local Eastern Daylight Time. Hurricane Irma is sitting basically just north of Cuba, affecting a pretty good portion of the Bahama Islands there. The winds are starting to increase from the east-northeast over South Florida, but the system still remains south of Florida at the time. We have 1,032 millibar surface high over the top over southeastern Canada, producing quite a chilly air mass for the upper Midwest and New England for this time of year. Moving on now to the 10th, Sunday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, Irma has now moved either just onshore over Miami or just slightly offshore to the east-southeast. A very intense system, still packing quite a punch, still a major hurricane, Category 3 or stronger. And so this is going to be the interesting, most critical portion is when will the turn be made to the north? All right, so moving forward, you'll notice everything's a better agreement. There is Sunday morning. Now let's watch what happens. We're going to look at the upper level trough. I want to mention about the upper level trough, whenever you have a dip like this, any dip in these lines in a U-shaped pattern, that indicates an upper level trough is moving towards basically over the lower 48, over the southeastern United States. Now this little trough could be enough, and it's looking more likely it will be enough, to start steering Irma to the north. This little trough. Now keep in mind the hurricanes like to move towards the path of least resistance, which is typically troughs or cold fronts in the atmosphere. Areas of lower atmospheric pressure, that's the path of least resistance for tropical systems. And this is now on Saturday morning, the 9th of September. This chart is showing a dip or a trough picking Irma up by Sunday morning at 8 a.m. Now let's take a look at the surface forecast again. By Monday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, there is at least a Category 3 storm sitting off of Jacksonville, Florida, due east. Okay, right off the southeast Georgia coast. The 1,029 millibar high sitting over New York State. There's going to be quite a gradient along the east coast regardless between the stronger high and that intense hurricane. So the winds are going to be picking up out of the east in many locations from the mid-Atlantic down to Florida. There's going to be some windy conditions on Monday morning. Landfall is expected by early afternoon. Right now it looks to be about 2 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time as Irma moves in over the Georgia-South Carolina border. We still have 1,026 millibar high holding its place over New England. So very windy conditions. Again, from about the mid-Atlantic south along the southeast coast, there's going to be rough surf. There's going to be rip currents, no doubt. This storm is going to bring a pretty good storm surge as well. A lot of water coming in towards South Carolina if this track holds. Looking at the upper level trough again, we're looking up at 30,000 feet above our heads. Looking for troughs. These U-shaped white lines are troughs in the upper atmosphere. And you'll notice here, definitely by Monday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, this trough is starting to really pick up Irma, really starting to make it go more towards the Georgia-South Carolina border. And then it's inland by, this is the evening, this is 8 p.m. on Monday, September 11th. So here are our final thoughts tonight. Irma remains a very dangerous storm, capable of producing catastrophic damage to anyone in its path. It's already now gone down as the strongest storm on record in the Atlantic Ocean. So that's pretty impressive. Stay tuned to local media outlets in the National Hurricane Center. There is the website again, www.nhc.noaa.gov for the latest track guidance and information on Irma. Follow all evacuation orders. If you live in an area that is in the path of Irma, follow all evacuation orders. Take this storm seriously. Now, the track may still change dependent on the strength and the timing of the upper level trough. Okay? So there are some small details still to be worked out as far as timing of the trough. And when Irma turns to the north will be that'll be critical to the impact of Florida. Will it make that turn prior to really getting into Florida? Will it just skirt Miami and head right offshore? Regardless, the whole east coast of Florida is going to have a fairly significant surge of water coming in from the western Atlantic Ocean. And then again, that's going to the higher seas area is going to propagate to the north as we get into Monday and Tuesday as well. So will this storm make a direct landfall in South Florida or skirt the east coast of Florida, just move parallel to it, and then just make a landfall into the border of Georgia, South Carolina? That remains to be seen. I will mention that, again, the models are coming into better agreement. They're coming into better agreement. The clustering is getting tighter. It's getting closer together for the models. That indicates there's higher confidence. This troughing here is going to be the key. The troughing over the southeast U.S. will be the key on steering the influence of Irma. Here's our where to find spot on weather on social media. There's our Facebook page. Look for the picture with the red barn. Instagram. We're on Twitter. There is our website. We did not have that on here the other night, but we are on Weebly. We do have a Weebly website. I'll post occasional blogs there, weather blogs. And if you need any more updates again, or any other weather that pops up in your neighborhood, subscribe to Spot On Weather for the most accurate weather forecasts. We mainly work on forecasting out of Southeast Virginia. But in cases like this where we have big storms impacting national interest, we do also do these expert analysis videos. All right, that wraps it up for Spot On Weather this evening. Remember, if we're not spot on, we're not doing it right. Have a great evening.